Hello everybody, welcome to Learn Made Simple and Comprehensive. Today I would like us to do the Eng1503 second assignment. I know it is quite late because the assignment is due tomorrow, but I would like you to please forgive me. And most of you have been asking me to do this assignment, and I told others that I won't be able to do this assignment because I was in hospital. My son was admitted, so yeah, that's the reason why I am doing this so late. But then again, oh my word, here he is now. Guys, if you hear funny noises, I am sorry. The guy is here. He did not go to school today, so please just forgive me. You know how kids are. All right. Oh, I wanted to talk about this book. If you do not have this book, you are going to dismally the noise. You are going to fail this module so dismally. So please make sure that you find this prescribed book, because everything that you are expected to do is just inside this book. That study guide, that tutorial letter 501, doesn't have so much information that you can rely on. Make sure that you find this book. You don't have to purchase the book. You can use a soft copy like I am doing right now. I have never had this book. I've never had the hard copy, but I've been working quite well with it using this PDF, which I found on Telegram. If you don't have Telegram, just ask your friends from WhatsApp to please, WhatsApp groups from ENG or UNISA or whatever, to please forward you this book. It's really, really handy, and it will make you pass with a distinction. All right, let's just get on with the first question. All right, for this assignment, you do not have to write 2 essays. You need to write 1 essay. You choose whether you want to write about the gaps which are created in the education system, which were created in the education system through COVID, or you want to write about the technological advancement in the education world as well. All right, first question. Choose either question 1 or 2 below and write a research-based essay according to the instructions under each question. Choose one of the following topics. Read the extract below and answer the question that follows. The outbreak of COVID-19 has had an immense impact on the entire globe. The pandemic has not only exacerbated social inequalities but also thrown global economies into disarray. In addition, in South Africa, it also made gaps and deficiencies in the education system quite glaring. It brought about a need to rethink education to ensure that the current generation of students are adequately prepared for the irreversible changes brought by the pandemic. All right, before we go any further, guys, you cannot write or answer this question without you understanding some of the terms in the extract there, because remember that in your introduction you need to first make a comment about based on the extract. Yes, I can say that. Based on the extract, you just make a little comment, maybe a 1 line or 2 or 3 or whatever. Then you start introducing your essay, telling us what you're going to write about. So if you don't understand some of the terms here, how are you going to give your comment? So you need to make sure that you know what the meaning of, and you need to make sure that you understand what they are really saying in this extract, so that you can be able to give a meaningful and a relevant statement, if I can put it that way, or comment. Yes. So here they say, okay, I'm just going to look at the words that I think that we are not really much familiar with. The globe is the world. It means that the entire world, like the whole world, like the whole wide world, the whole wide world. difficulties. Then exacerbated, it means that the pandemic has not only worsened. By worsened, I mean like, guys, I don't know how to explain, but the pandemic has not only worsened the social inequalities. It means that they're trying to say that social inequalities in South Africa are not really adequate, but because of the pandemic, things just went worse. Yes, if I can put it like that. Okay, then it further says, okay, with social inequalities, for you to understand this, you need to first check what social equalities is. You know that inequality, it is an antonym of equality. Yeah, inequality is an antonym. It's the opposite of inequality. Is the opposite of equality. Hey guys, it's a whole. Yes, so you need to first check that when we talk about social equalities, or we are talking about the issue of health, education, occupations. You know, we know where we come from. You know our history as South Africans. Even when you're born in 2000, but you know that we suffered apartheid. So because we're talking about education here, I am just going to give you an example about schools. Back then, most of our schools, most especially the buildings, did not change. They were built in those apartheid times, during the apartheid era. So our schools in maybe rural areas, or where the blacks were living by then, they are so much different from the structures or the infrastructures that were built where we have schools for whites. The infrastructures were different in our schools. Even today, if you are from the rurals, or if you watch current affairs, when you watch the news, if you're updated, you will know that most schools don't have flowing water. They don't have taps in their schools. They mostly use tanks, or they don't even have anything veiling at all. They use those jojos. So but in white schools, they have everything. Their toilets are fine. Everything is just so perfect, you know. So we did not change, even when the education system have changed, but the infrastructure did not change. Because you know, even when the budget can come out for renovating schools and everything, they're charging the money. We know this is our South Africa. So yeah, those are inequalities, because we blacks got a poor infrastructure, then the whites had good infrastructure. So those are the inequalities that we are referring to, you know. Even in our clinics, if you live in the rurals, you know that a clinic from the rurals, it's so different from a clinic that is in town, if I can put it like that, you know. So those are the kind of things that we are talking about when we talk about social inequalities. There are a lot of social inequalities. You can just check that for your own information, but right now I just want to be relevant to this question. Disarray, we are talking, they are saying that the pandemic made everything to be so obvious. Like, okay, remember that during COVID we could not go back to schools because the schools could not reopen. They took a long time to reopen because you know, during COVID we had to wash our hands for 20 seconds. But our schools, let me say our government schools or our public schools, more especially which are the ones which are situated in the rurals, did not have flowing water. You see? What's going to happen? How were they going to wash their hands for 20 seconds? They could not. So they had to install jojos. They had to make plants. So the pandemic, I don't know what to say. The pandemic, I don't know how to put this, made yo guys, I don't know how to explain this, but the pandemic showed, or it brought out the social inequalities that we are facing in South Africa. You see, in the educational sector, because it is relevant to this question. Yeah, the flowing water, there were many things that we're going to discuss here, and you are going to find when you go through the sources that you are supposed to look at, so that you can be able to reference them, because we need to reference for this essay. Okay, I want to read the first question. Question 1. Using the extract above as a starting point, discuss 3 different gaps in the education system that were exposed by the pandemic. Conclude by providing recommendations to address these gaps. Solutions. Yeah, we must provide solutions for those kind of gaps that we are going to discuss. The focus of your essay should be in a country of your choice. Take note of the phrases written in bold font. Discuss 3 gaps in the education system that were exposed by the pandemic. Naturally, this statement calls for a reaction. The response, though, must take the form of a discursive essay. As a result, you must consider the major educational gaps that the pandemic exposed and discuss those educational gaps in detail. Additionally, the answer to the question demands you to select a certain nation upon which to base your discussion. Furthermore, the question asks you to offer suggestions that could be used to address the discussed gaps. Straightforward. Okay, you can just read this in your own time, so that you can be able to, see how you are supposed to lay out your essay. Just go through this tutorial letter. It's very, very good and beneficial for you. I am looking for this. Guys, make sure that you go to this prescribed book, the book that I was telling you about. Go to these pages here. You need to know how to write your thesis statement. You need to know how to write your introduction. You need to know how to write good, productive, academic paragraphs, and a topic sentence, supporting sentences, everything, supporting ideas, concluding sentence, and connecting paragraphs, which we call cohesion, and the conclusions. You are going to find everything in these pages that are stated here, and they're very much straightforward. Trust me. So yeah, let's go back to our question at hand. Okay, I am just going to use this example here. Here is the example that I'm talking about. I just want to talk about this. Hey guys. So let's leave it like that. Okay, it says here in the introduction, I am still looking at the same tutorial letter that I was looking at. This is just an example. When you read further, you are going to see where I am looking at now, or where I am, yeah, you know what I mean. In the introduction, respond to Sadeji, I don't know, comment on great improvements in technology. If you are wise, this is how you are supposed to, you should know that this is how you are supposed to reference your sources. This is in-text referencing, which is used in the Harvard way, but I think that we do have a sample or something, guidance on how we are supposed to reference the Harvard way below or at the end of the tutorial letter. I just did not check it due to time, but we're going to check it together. If it's not there, I do have something that we can look at together so that you can be able to see how you are actually expected to do this whole thing. Hey guys, what, you must hydrate yourself, you must drink water. In the introduction, response to Sadeji, comment on great improvements in technology. All right, fine. This is just a guidance on how to write the introduction. Eh? So now, what are we supposed to do? Now you have seen that, okay, you need to make a comment based on the extract that you were given. Let's just run there. Let's rush to our own statement. What is our statement talking about? Our statement is talking about the pandemic, the COVID-19, which happened in our eyes. Something that you experienced. This is so good, hey? Because it is history, but it's a history that you experienced. So you know what to write about, literally, you know. Here you need to discuss, and you need to make just a comment. It can be it's just a sentence or two or three or whatever, but you discuss the disadvantages that you noticed in the education sector, which were caused by COVID. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, something like this. Just make a statement. Your whatever statement you can say. You can never be wrong, because this is just your opinion. There's no right or wrong answer here, as long as if your answer is relevant to COVID-19 and the gaps which were created by the pandemic. You are going to be correct. You're going to be marked right. So and now I don't know what kind of statement you can make. I didn't write this assignment. I'm not prepared for it. But you can simply say that, okay, you know what? Here you can talk about the what? Our economy during COVID. You know what happened? You remember what happened. You recall what happened. Okay, I'm going to say we all. I was not even working. We all lost our jobs during COVID. Most of us lost our jobs. Some were not. We're working from home. Yes, that's fine. But our economy went bad because of COVID. We had to borrow money from the World Bank and all those kind of things. You can simply talk about those kind of things. You can mention that. Just play around with the words. This is just a mere example. I'm not saying that you should write about that. This is just an example, and I'm not going to give out many examples to avoid you talking about the same thing, you know, because I know that many people are going to watch this video. So yeah, to avoid plagiarism, I'm just giving you an example what you can talk about. The pandemic showed that or maybe it what I can say, maybe it brought out how disorganized we are as a country, if I can say that. As a country, we are so much disorganized. I am talking about corruption, you guys. If you don't know what I'm saying, just go to the internet, read about the COVID-19 corruption. This is another example that you can talk about. There are just so many things that you can discuss. So yeah, if there wasn't corruption, I don't want to say many things. Let me leave it like that. All right. I don't want to sound like I am anti-ANC because I am not into politics. So yeah. Okay. Let me check my What are the disadvantages that were brought by COVID-19 or the pandemic into our education system? What have you noticed? Let's forget about the water and sanitation. What? Our children were not going to school. They stayed home for like 3 months or something. I'm not sure, because my son was only 2 by then, so yeah, he was not going to school. So I'm not really sure. So they lost so much. Remember that the matrics, the grade 12s, I meant to say, they finished their exams 2021, which was the following year, around February or March. I don't know. I'm not so sure. I don't remember. But yeah, stuff like that. Just recall or go to the internet to find out, because I'm not so sure about what I'm saying, but I know that they wrote their exams the following year. That's why we were affected by it. We had a super semester because we had to wait for their results and stuff like that. Remember? Yeah. So attendance. They were exchanging classes even after the pandemic. They were still exchanging. Today this group went, like they were divided. I wanted to say they were divisions, but I don't know if that's the correct word that I'm supposed to use. One classroom was divided into groups of 2 or 3, I don't know, but according to the number that they had to maintain the social distancing, they had to do that. So if one group went to school maybe once a week or twice a week, can you see that the syllabus, they were literally left behind? They could not finish the syllabus in time. So the children really lost out. They really lost a lot during that time. And most of our schools, as blacks, I am going to speak for us because I am black. It's something that I'm experiencing, even when I don't experience it like firsthand, but it's something that I read about all the time. It's something that I watch on the news almost every day. We blacks are complaining about inadequate situations, in schools, more especially the Eastern Cape. Those people are struggling with schools. Others, last week I saw in the news, they say that a certain school, they're using an old bus to attend the class. I don't know what grade is that, but they're using an old bus to attend their classes there. It's like their class. So some others are using the tree. They sit under the tree. They sit on stones. You see that kind of condition? Oh, guys, I'm going to forget what I'm saying now because they're making noise. I need to pause here. So those are the kind of challenges that we are facing. We have the feeding scheme in schools. I am glad that even high schools now have the feeding scheme. Most children, if I can put it that way, we as blacks, guys, we are poor. We are very much poor. Poverty, I don't know how to explain it. Some of those children manage to have a meal because they eat at school. At home, there's nothing to eat. So if they're not going to school, it means that they're not going to eat for that day. So if they did not go to school for 3 months, it means that 3 months is going to be rough for them, because the only meal that they can have is the meal that they find at school. So think about those kind of things. Those teachers, many teachers lost their lives during the pandemic. Yes, guys, wait. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Someone was at the door. Okay, I was saying that most of our educators lost their lives. What does that mean for us? It means that we're going to have a lack of teachers. You know that employing teachers and all that takes a lot of time. This is the government that we're talking about. It's not a private school that we just make a decision today and just like that everything is perfect. There are a lot of processes that needs to go on. So most schools were lacking teachers. If they lack teachers, it means that that particular subject, it's not going to be taught for a period of time. I remember when I was in grade 12, it was not around the COVID time or something like that, because I completed my matric like 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I don't remember. But what I'm trying to say is that in my grade 12, we did not have a geography teacher for like 7 months because our geography teacher died. So we did not have a geography teacher. Sorry about the noise, guys. And then again, we did not have a physical sciences teacher because he left. So guys, wait, just imagine if we stayed like 7 months without a teacher. You see that we literally did not learn that subject at all. Like there was no volunteer or whatever. Things are just low in the government sector. So I know that even today some schools did not employ a replacement for some of those teachers. So children are lacking in that sense. Then we could talk about the disadvantage of online learning. You remember that these teachers, they had like, I think, the WhatsApp groups that they were using to guys, this video is a mess. All right, they were using WhatsApp groups to communicate with their students. They gave them assignments. They were literally running their classrooms there on WhatsApp, which was a very good thing, to be honest. It's more like what we are doing in UNISA, because we use online platforms to communicate with our lecturers, those online classes, whatever thing. But what is the disadvantage for this? We are talking about high school kids here. Most of those, not even high school kids, we're talking about children like, I choose to talk about like high school kids and primary school kids. I don't want to discuss this whole thing based on us tertiary students, because you are not going to relate to what I want to say, because most of us, we are working, we are stable, we have most of us have found our feet, so you cannot relate. But if I talk about the primary school kids and the high school kids, that they're dependent, not independent, they're dependent. So yeah, it's going to make sense if I talk about them. All right, those kids, most of them, they do not have gadgets. They do not have laptops. They do not have smartphones. Yes, they do have smartphones. They do not have data. They cannot afford. We as black people, I don't want to talk about Wi-Fi, because we do have a library, but that library doesn't have Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi. You see? Even if we do, you see, in these rural villages, it's not everywhere that they do have that public library, or even if it's not a library, whatever place that they can use, that place doesn't have public Wi-Fi. You see, where are they going to go? so that they can be able to receive these messages, send these answers to their teachers. I don't know how they will do it. I do not know the format that they were using of communicating with their teachers. I'm talking about if they gave them classworks. I don't know how they literally marked those classworks, or I don't know how they were doing it. But what I'm trying to say is that if a student doesn't have access, a student cannot access a smartphone and cannot get access to data, they were going to literally lose out on that particular, maybe, what can I say, not even a subject. They're just going to miss out on everything, you see, because they cannot afford anything. They do not have a smartphone. Yes, they do have a smartphone, yes, fine, but they do not have data. Even you yourself, as old as you are, sometimes you cannot afford data. I know that I'm one of those people who sometimes they cannot afford data. I do have contract the Wi-Fi, but hey, I have someone in this house is always on YouTube watching Coco Melon with my data. So yeah, you see, sometimes I do run out of that myself. So these are the kind of things that you can talk about. The first point can be talking about the gadgets or the free Wi-Fi, which is literally one thing. No, not one thing. It's literally the one. You can put that in one paragraph. Talk about lack of gadgets and lack of free Wi-Fi. Even if it's not free, we are poor. We cannot afford those kind of things, you know. Most families cannot. Then you can talk about accessing one meal at school for that particular day, or the only meal that those children can get, which is at school. That is number 2. Number 3 is lack of access to resources and infrastructure. I am talking about the running water, that we need to wash our hands for 20 minutes. Remember, I'm talking about the pandemic here. I am talking about the pit toilets. Just include everything there. Make it make sense. Hey guys, you are cooking here. You want max. Talk about those teachers who lost their lives. You just talk about all the inequalities that we have in South Africa, especially when it comes to the educational sector. So yeah, talk about those kind of things. Hey, I've spoken for more than 30 minutes on one topic. Let me get to the next one. Okay, talk about overcrowding in one class. The overcrowding means that the school or that particular class needs to be divided. Then when we divide the class, you know what it means. I spoke about this. So yeah, lack of inadequate sanitation and water, we spoke about that. So yeah, we're good on that one. Those are the points that you can try to work on. I think I've given you more than enough. I wanted to give you an example on how to do your introduction. Okay, you make that a comment that we're talking about, then you can literally copy this whole thing here and say this essay will discuss. In this essay I will discuss. Even when you say, you don't say I, because when we write in informal academic writing, we do not use the word I. It must not be subjective, but it must be objective. So you can say that this essay is about the pandemic, what you see, social inequalities, whatever thing that you want to say, Then you give your first point, which is overcrowding, your second point, which is loss of attendance, your third point, which will be lack of resources and infrastructure, not the fourth one. Yes. So then since your first point is overcrowding, your first paragraph from the introduction, because your first paragraph it is literally your introduction, where you make your comment, then you tell us what you're going to discuss. Then your first point, your first paragraph of the body, you write about overcrowding. Your second paragraph, you write about the second point that you mentioned on your introduction. But then again, you need to make sure that there's a connection between your paragraphs. You cannot just end the first paragraph and start writing on the second paragraph like you are talking about a different thing. There must be some kind of a connection. By that, I mean that sometimes when you end your paragraph, let's say maybe you're ending the first paragraph, I'm just giving an example, where you were talking about let's say overcrowding. Then at the end, at the last sentence, you can say that these factors, or whatever thing that whichever way that you're going to put it, they lead to lack of, okay, what can I say? Or maybe you can say these overcrowding sometimes lead to lack of, what's this? I don't know what to say. Or maybe you can just say overcrowding is caused by I want to say that lack of teachers. Can I say that? Yeah. Then you talk about the lack of teachers, but you need to use proper English. Because I'm just saying this so that you understand. This is not the proper way of putting it. I just want you to understand me, because I don't have the correct way of saying it right now. You can say the overcrowding is caused about the lack of teachers. See, then you leave it like that. Then on your second paragraph, you know that you want to talk about lack of teachers. Ne? You say lack of teachers was caused by, or is caused by, teachers who lost their lives during the pandemic. What you see. So some of the classes had to be combined together, so that some classes are not left unattended. So when they combine two classes, that led to overcrowding. Something like that, man. You guys just play with the words. This is so simple, man. And you need to make sure that you use I forgot, what are those words again? I forgot what they call them. But those words like furthermore, moreover. If you want to say something in which is opposite to the other, in contrast, or those kind of words, just try to use those kind of words so that your essay can be, can be delicious. Okay, I decided to look at the words that I was talking about, but then I just want to start from the top. It says here, for you to, if you want to say like general explaining, when you are generally explaining something, you can use the words, these kind of words, in order to. Then it explains the usage. In order to can be used to introduce an explanation for the purpose of an argument. Then there you have your example there. Another one, number 2. In other words, you learn the usage, how to use it, and you get the example there. To put it in another way, you see, there are just many things. Adding additional information to support a point. Moreover, this is what I was referring to. Furthermore, what's more. Likewise, similarly, another key to remember, you see, These are the kind of things that these are the kind of words that you are supposed to use. If you are not, like, when you can write an essay and not have one of these words, haike and nam. All right. As well as, not only but also, coupled with. I'm not saying that you are supposed to use all these words, in your essay. No. Oh, of course. I don't know what I was saying. But I'm not saying that you're supposed to use all these lines here, or I don't know what to call them. But maybe you can use one or two, those kind of things. And you can use these firstly, secondly, thirdly, or lastly. In your paragraph, firstly, overcrowding in classrooms will be discussed. Secondly, loss of lives or lack of teachers will be discussed or tackled, or whatever word that you want to use. Lastly or thirdly, because the third point is supposed to be the last one, so you can use the word lastly or whatever. Then words that show contrast, you can say however, or use what's the noise. Guys, just bear with me. Okay. You can say on the other hand, having said that, by contrast or in comparison, then again, that said, then adding a proviso or acknowledging reservations. Despite this, with this in mind, nevertheless, provided that, in light of, like, you can just use whatever, So when you are giving examples, you can say, for instance, or to give an illustration. When you are signifying importance, you can say significantly, notably, importantly. Then when you are summarizing, you can say in conclusion. Above all, compelling. When you write your conclusion, because this essay is supposed to have a conclusion. You cannot write an essay without a conclusion. This is where you sum up all your points. A conclusion doesn't have to be like 8 lines. It can simply be like 3 lines or 2, but not 1. You see? Then this is what I want. The Harvard guidelines on reference techniques. This is what I want us to look at. I found this tutorial later on, I don't know, I think it's Telegram. Yeah. When you are referencing books, this is how you are supposed to do it. The surname of the author. This not in text referencing. It's a bibliography. It's the reference list at the bottom of your essay. This is where you provide that reference list. So this is a bibliography. You cannot write like this inside in the middle of your essay. This is totally, that will be totally wrong. Yeah. So then this is in text referencing. You see, his surname, the year, and the pages, the year of publication. Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure, I don't remember, because I don't use Harvard anymore. So yeah. Okay, here on the bibliography, you're going to start with his surname, followed by his initial. Then this is one author, né? This is when you have like one author or one editor. Then the year of publication. Then you write the name of the book. Then you write the place of publication, which is London. Then what's this? Oh no. This is, what do they call it? What do they call this? I don't remember if this is the publisher. Yes, this is the publisher, because when you look at this one here, this one is so much popular, which is Longman. This is the publisher. The pen here, it's publisher. This one is the place of publication. If you are referencing maybe a study guide when you're using Harvard, you are supposed to write Pretoria here. Then you write the publisher here. I don't know who the publisher is. So yeah. But when you are doing in-text referencing, when you are referencing inside of your essay, just the way I showed you when we're still looking at that Sadeji example, you write his surname here, you put into brackets, you write the year of publication, and then you write the pages. But sometimes with us, because we are mostly using online references, online sources, you do not have to write the page numbers here, because most of the case you just don't know the page number. You simply write the username, year of publication, you close, then you start writing whatever that you want to write. So yeah, simple as that. When you have like two authors, you write the first author's surname followed by the initials, then you write and, then you write the surname, the second author's surname followed by the initials and all that. You see? So yeah, simple as that. So simple. Then when you are, oh, sorry about that. Then when you want to reference an article journal, a journal article, I mean, these are mostly found on Google Scholar. Remember that we are encouraged to use Google Scholar when we are looking for sources, so you are supposed to know how to do this correctly. So for your online for your in-text referencing, this is what I'm talking about. Oh no. For your in-text referencing, this is how you are supposed to do it. You see, this is just an example in their review of the literature. I don't know how to read that word there, as maybe it's Napik. This Ital or something, I don't know how to read it. It shows that he is not alone. You see, there were many authors there on the journal. You see, it's Napik J, that is the first author. That is the one that we wrote his surname. 1, 2, 3, 4 authors. We do not write all of them in the in-text referencing. We only write the first author in that journal. Then we write these words. These words are so important to show that there are others who are also authors there, but they were omitted. Then you write the year of publication. Then you continue with whatever that you want to say. Simple, so simple. Then when you write the bibliography, that's where you mention everyone there. You see, you write the I don't know, the topic. I think then it's not, I don't know what to call this, but it's, I don't know, like, okay, this is the title of the journal. Then this is the name of that, I don't know, title, name, what am I saying? I don't know how to explain this, but you are going to understand this, because at the heading, this is where you're going to find all the information. Just look at the heading and you're going to know. And make sure that the name of the journal, the title of the journal, is written in italics. Then you write the volume numbers and all that, the page numbers. Yeah, that's it. So simple. Internet reference. The only thing that you need to remember here is to write the dates which you accessed this. That one is important, and the URL is also important. You see, that's it. Simple. And the in-text referencing is the name of the author, the year of publication. You start writing your business. So simple and straightforward. Let me check the time. Okay, 15 minutes. I think that is enough. It really is enough, but I just want to check something here before I cannot start discussing the second the second topic, because yeah, you can see the time. Thesis statement. I just went to page 12. I don't think it will be fair if I can also give an example or try to explain the thesis statement, because I think I explained this on the first assignment. So maybe we should try to look at another example, because I tried to explain this. I'm sure by now you get the point. It says here, generating supporting ideas. When you plan your supporting ideas, make certain that they develop and provide evidence for the central point that you are making in the thesis statement. To generate ideas for body paragraphs, you could use the exploring strategies: brainstorming, free writing, questioning, and clustering that you learned in chapter 1. Review the process that student Alicia Pereira went through. First, she created a list to support her thesis statement. Then she reread her supporting ideas and removed ideas that she did not want to develop in an essay. She also grouped guys, you cannot understand this if you never read through. So you see there, it says here initial ideas. You see, it says there, draft thesis statement. This one is a draft, ne? Students drop out of college for many reasons. Then it says the supporting ideas: can adapt to college life, feel confused about career goals, don't have study skills, can't afford tuition, part-time jobs, whatever. This is her brainstorming. She is doing what we were doing when we were first writing our essay. We came up with many ideas on what we can write about. So that was a form of brainstorming as well. So here she comes up with all the reasons that she can think of. Then she starts grouping them. But then again, it says there, here, can you see here? This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. This is where I want to read now. After critically examining her supporting ideas, Alicia chose 3 that could become body paragraphs. She evaluated each set of linked ideas and summarized the connections between ideas in the set. These sentence summaries then became her topic sentences. Then we further go below. Revised thesis supporting point. Thesis statement: students may drop out of college because they are unprepared, have financial problems, or experience an emotional crisis. Her topic sentence: many students are unable to adapt to college life. Topic sentence: some students face overwhelming financial burdens. Topic sentence: furthermore, students may undergo an emotional crisis. You see that when you look at these, you can literally see that this writing here, it's more formal or academic, then these points here that I mentioned, that she was brainstorming. So this is the kind of things that you are supposed to do, and it is literally what I do myself when I want to write something. So this is what you're supposed to do, and you are supposed to read through everything here so that you can be able to understand what is expected from you, then you do it the correct way. You know, you guys, it is not a miracle or taboo to get a total or all the marks or 100% in ENG, and it is not really okay, all right, it is not really a very difficult module, but you need to give yourself time to go through the prescribed material so that you can be able to understand what you're expected to do, and so that you can be able to write what you are required to write. Okay guys, our video is very long, 55 minutes. All right, I'll just stop everything here. You guys have a good productive essay writing. That's all from me to you. Ciao. Oh guys.